Hello and welcome to Zambia Today. I'm your host, Alice Banda. Zambia has seen a rise in child defilement cases over the past few months, and some cases, the victims are as young as 1 year old. This alarming trend has provoked outrage and concern among activists, medical professionals, and the general public. According to the Zambia Police Victim Support Unit, there were 2,646 recorded defilement cases last year. The growing concern is not only about the sheer number of cases, but also the alarming age of the victims, with a significant proportion being young children. One would ask, what is causing this increase in child defilement cases? On the program today, we are looking at some of the causes of child defilement. And to help us discuss this topic, joining me in the studio is the Young Women's Christian Association, YWCA, Acting Regional Coordinator, Florence K. Makoba. Madam, you're welcome to Zambia Today program.
Thank you, Alice, for having me. Thank you.
To begin with, what are your initial thoughts as regards this recent surge in child defilement cases in Zambia?
Okay, let me just begin by what YWCA does so that it's easier for us to pick it up from there. YWCA is a non-governmental organization that actually focuses on social change for women, youth, and children. And this is normally, it's done through the way we help with the communities, our communities, by bringing awareness of gender-based violence. That includes the topic that we have for today, because gender-based violence falls under this same child defilement cases. And my thought to this is to be honest, this is a very disappointing, disheartening scenario that is happening, and one would wonder what is happening, because we're coming from a background where a parent, a guardian, was someone that children looked up to in feeling safe. But today they are the very people that the children, we are being asked to protect our children from. And the root causes, some of them might be poverty, because as you know, when poverty is in a family, every parent thinks of a way for a way out. And sometimes it might be, let me take this child for early marriage. But then child defilement has been stated by Zambian law today, and it has always been that any child between the ages of 16 and below is a child. Regardless of how they look, regardless of how they present themselves, they are a child. So it goes to say, no matter how big your daughter is, you cannot marry them off at that age. And other factors that can contribute to this are gender-based violence itself. It's got so many elements to it. There is financial, there is a physical aspect, there is a mental aspect. When you understand what violence is, you understand that our children are actually the most vulnerable, because not are they only the most vulnerable, but they depend on us, the very people that are actually bringing this harm to them. So they are the most vulnerable. So other issues may also be just the stiff punishments are not there with regards to defilement cases. Believe you me, if we had stiff case outcomes, justice, due process done, I tell you that most people will actually deter from doing this. And the other factor might be, we've normalized the idea of even violence itself. You notice sometimes how social media will literally post a person, oh, this person has done this to me, and you post them. That is violence in itself. And it's normal, including us. We comment on how this person should be brutalized and everything. And all these cases have actually made it hard to fight gender-based violence, because gender-based violence that includes defilement. Every time I talk about gender-based violence, it includes defilement because it falls under that area. So those might be sort of the reasons why we are facing this. Alcoholism is probably among them. Because when you think today everyone we are allowed to drink. It's a social behavior that is acceptable at the moment. But when a person drinks, what happens? How do they think? How do they feel? The next is we can talk about the high divorce cases. In such instances, mostly when the judges are ruling, they always rule in favor of the one that has got the financial muscle. Who's got the financial muscle mostly in homes? It's men. And this is a man that will start living with girl children and comes home drunk. What do you expect? So I think we need to address the root causes of defilement for us to actually have solutions to it.
How easy is it to deal with perpetrators of defilement in cases where they are closely related to a victim? For instance, a father defiles a child.
Okay. I will really be honest with you. Every defilement case is really disheartening, and it's something that brings us back, like backwards as women's movement. Every movement that fights for gender equality. But then, when you look at defilement itself, it touches the life of a child's life that has been disrupted. In some instances, damaged, because you do not know the outcomes, how this child will fare in the future with this incident that has happened. So every case of defilement is really painful. But then when you go to the actual one, the situation where the father, or it's a guardian that actually defiles this young girl, it's very... We reach at a point where even us as case workers, we are so devastated because, number one, it breaks families. Family ties are broken. There are people that, when a case happens, they are forced to choose. Because of economic hardship, there are times that a wife would choose to protect the husband from reporting and saying, you know what, let's talk about this family table. But remember, there's this young child who has been given a lens through life, and that is trust no one. So this child goes through life trusting no one. So family ties are tested, and mostly they are broken. And mostly it's the victim that suffers, because for us to save face, our culture always has conversation we have as families. Uncles come, we talk about it. But as you are talking about it, that young girl, if they don't get the counseling, they don't get the healing part that they need, and if they don't get the justice, it's very painful for them to navigate through life. So when a child has been defiled by a loved one, they are given a lens to how they should treat the world, and that is, nobody can be trusted. Even my father is a monster. Yeah.
So as YWCA or as a Christian association, are there any initiatives that you've put in place to bring these issues out or create awareness for everyone to know, and also the consequences that come after someone defiles or abuses someone?
Okay. Our initiatives still remain the same because we've actually realized they still work. And these are workshop, community sensitizations, town hall meetings. This is where you follow this matter to the community, because it's happening in the communities. This is where we raise awareness about the dangers of defilement, gender-based violence itself, and just the unequal representation of women, because when a woman is at a place of disadvantaged, her children will also be disadvantaged. So our initiatives are still the same. All that they need is intensifying at the moment, because this issue is at hand. How do we move? How do we work with stakeholders? How do we work with government to corroborate, to ensure that perpetrators are actually brought to book? Because from my previous answer, when a family is forced to compromise based on financial status, they keep this perpetrator. Just know that the vice will continue. This child will forever be obviously re-victimized. So YWCA is advocating. We are in the communities. We are making sure that our leaders, especially our traditional leaders, are reminded. Let us talk about positive masculinity. What are our men doing to ensure that our daughters trust them once again? Because mostly this happens to daughters. We're not saying it doesn't happen to sons, but from the cases that we have actually received, most of them. So our children need to remember that a man, a father, is somebody that we can once trust again, and that will mean us going back to our communities. Let's find out from our fathers what is happening to them. Why has the moral backbone that they once had, that I'm your father, where has it gone? Why has family ties been broken? So our initiatives still remain the same. And as a Christian organization, we go back to the drawing board. What does the Bible say? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you love your neighbor as yourself, you wouldn't cause them harm. Those scriptures actually remind us that the best thing you can do for the next person is actually do right by them, because you wouldn't want the same to happen to you. Those are the Christian values that we are teaching in schools, Christian values that we are teaching even in the workshops that we have, in the sensitizations we have in the markets, and so on.
Florence, the world has gone digital, you know. So community, much as we appreciate the community service, the town hall meetings, is there anything you are doing using these tools, social media tools like Facebook, Twitter?
Okay. Yes, so we understand that the world is digital. Everyone has a device like I do right now. We do have awareness campaigns digital. We have webinars where we talk about these issues, and these are recorded, where actually when you go on our platform, YWCA platform Zambia, you will find some of these programs that we do. But then we have also realized that, especially for the girl child, the children that are being preyed on, most of them might not even have these digital devices we're talking about. Going to their schools is still effective. Because when you go to the school, then you realize that you're going to start grooming them from a very young age, the dangers of gender-based violence, the dangers of defilement, and how it affects them and how it affects the community. So yes, digital is there, but then our victims are the ones that need this information the most. And they're the ones that don't have actually the luxury of having social media itself most of the time.
So what steps does a person close to someone who's been defiled, or someone who has defiled, someone, and a close neighbor has been defiled, what steps do they take for them to report?
Okay. So the steps will not always go in a linear pathway. But number one is that what you should know is that there should be a law enforcement that has to be reported to. So for me, when we advise that, for instance, there are people that are in communities that are far from police, far from town. How do they access this? Go to any leader, the church leader, traditional leader, our chiefs are there, our headmen are there. As children in our schools, let's go to our teachers. Let's just tell them, you know what, this happened to me. But then, after those people are reported to, there, for instance, YWCA has gender-based violence desks so we call them GBV desks, in most of our communities. Walk there, walk to a hospital, just make sure that it is reported. Once it's reported, the process begins. The process of police come in, the law enforcement ensure that, give details. So when somebody has been defiled, it's actually important that as the incident is still fresh, let them go to the police so that they explain it in details about the perpetrator and about themselves. After that, let them seek medical attention. There are times that our children actually are defiled, and the defiler is actually HIV positive. This is where PrEP comes in. So let them seek medical attention immediately. Once you find out, as an adult, as a teacher, as a police officer, rush to the hospital. That is where our organizations, like I mentioned, I found the organizations that actually advocate for human rights. We are there. We will now help with this young girl and the family, moving forward with them. This is where they need counseling. Trauma response is important, because A child, once this happens to a child, they're asking themselves, was it me? Why does it hurt this much? And all those questions that come after. That is where we come in. We help with counseling. And after that, the other process is that legal processes have to begin. Legal process have to begin. And once they begin, the perpetrator is always, because if all this information is followed, the perpetrator will be arrested because the police are at hand with you. Legal processes follow through with the legal counsels that are giving you advice. But then these are the processes. But like I mentioned, they don't always happen linear. You can, whoever you report to, eventually this has to happen. The process has to follow.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, there's an issue, especially in compounds or in the villages. You know, there's an issue of people living in fear, especially if they know there's this thing that happened. So is there any issues to do with confidentiality? Like if someone reports and then you don't tell that the one who
Yes.
committed that offense that, no, this one
Okay.
is the one who did this.
Yes, so confidentiality is there. I think in every person that has done psychology or counseling itself, confidentiality is number one. Even the police will tell you confidentiality is number one. Once you report, for instance, you're just a neighbor and you've noticed this has happened, just know that your name will not be mentioned, but as the police come there, or even as any of these NGOs that are ensuring that children are safe come, they will just say, we are checking and we want to find out how the girls are doing, and we want to have a private moment with them. Children who are going through something are not hard to pick. That is why even the sensitizations that we have in our communities is we teach how to pick early signs of abuse. A child is able, just by a funny touch, you'll be able to tell that a child is now responding different to an adult. We've had maids that beat up your child, and you would know that your child has been beaten because they respond differently. So imagine being violated like that. So there is confidentiality, I must say.
In case you've just tuned in, you are watching Zambia Today with me, Alice, and on the program we have the acting regional coordinator, Madam Florence K. Makoba from the YWCA, or the Young Women's Christian Association. We are discussing defilement. Florence, is there any support YWCA offers to survivors of child defilement?
Oh, yes. YWCA, like I mentioned in my preamble, we advocate for social change. This is where we address human rights issues, especially concerning women, youth, and children. YWCA has got, number one, we offer psychosocial counseling. If a victim has been victimized, when they come to us, we have psychosocial counseling. We also have paralegal services. These are services where we help our clients navigate the legal system. We help them find a lawyer, what next step to take in the legal path. We also have, what I must say, shelters. We have shelters in actually the 9 provinces of Zambia. We have presence there. Our shelters are for victims that have been, have actually undergone abuse. So these are mother shelters and children's shelters. We call them CIC. These shelters are there so that there are certain cases where a parent, for instance, a mother chooses to side with the husband, and they're like, I will not report him. And when the case is eventually found out, they will choose their husband over their child. Through social warfare, because we've been mandated through social warfare, because social warfare is the custodian of our children in Zambia. So through social warfare, we have CICs, Child in Crisis shelters, where we shelter our children for that duration of the case. And not only that, but also for healing and recovery, because we understand that this takes a toll on a young mind. Yes, so those are the services that YWCA offers to victims of gender-based violence, such as child defilement.
Okay. So what message would you like to convey to government regarding policies on child protection?
Okay. Policies are there. We know they're there. They just need stiffening. We need to see a lot of perpetrators, because like you mentioned, over 2,000 by the SUV, over 2,000 cases. Can we see those cases? Can we see those people incarcerated? Can we see them in jail? Not for 2 years, not for 5 years, but longer. It will deter people from actually doing the same. Policies also where, when you look at our divorce case issues in Zambia, that has risen so high, and I did mention that there are issues where a father would take the daughters. Can we have community workers that actually follow up on these children that have gone to live with their fathers? How safe are they? Because imagine you give this man, because he's got the financial muscle, the wife remains. Mostly, women would not intentionally leave their children. But remember, if child support is 500 kwacha, I might as well take these children back to their father. Then where they are living, how are they living? Can the courts appoint case workers that check on these children? We understand that, yes, we need peace between, if a spouses don't agree, we need peace. But then, can the children be followed up? And lastly, my thoughts are just that, can we actually make it simpler to check for mental health issues? Because we have a lot of alcoholics in even men that you can actually look at that. These are men that are family-oriented, are alcoholics. Can we not only restrict it to Chainama? Maybe our normal hospital visits, can we have just normal evaluations? Because maybe the stigma of Chainama makes people not just go there. Even me, if I had a family member, just thinking I take them to Chainama would be a challenge. But when they're taking these drugs, we all know what happens when you take alcohol. So our men, our communities, let us at least just find a way to identify some of these vices that are happening, that we have normalized. Pornography is one of them. We actually are thinking it is okay. How many videos have been posted on Facebook, even when they say that Facebook they block? But how many videos have been posted? I think from my last remark, and that is stiffer punishments. We want to see them. We want to see them arrested. We want to see them brought. We want to see justice given to these young girls, young boys quickly. Let us not prolong the process. Can we have child courts that actually deal with these cases? And like I mentioned, let's start examining mental health illnesses, because I actually think it takes a mental health problem to actually touch your own child. Let us, as social welfare, other organizations that work with children, let us collaborate, because I think collaborated efforts where everyone is touching here, there, it goes a long way. Law enforcement, let them be swift about when they hear a case, especially involving a child. Let them run to go and just ensure, is it force? Is it what? Let them just be like, Tikendo Kambira Kusogolo. That would be actually very good. Most people would stop, and I think those will be preventive measures that we would take. And the awareness campaigns that we'll keep doing in schools. We have schools that we've enlisted as YWCA, that we feel young girls, young boys from as early as 3, 4, they need to know stranger danger. They need to know my body is my space. No one touches me here. Those are initiatives that actually we can actually look at and think that they can actually prevent this vice that has been happening of late.
Florence, thank you so much for making an appearance on Zambia Today.
Thank you so much, Alice.
Well, viewers, we've heard from our guest about the various factors contributing to this heartbreaking issue. We encourage you to engage in conversations within your communities, support local organizations fighting against defilement, and report any suspicious activities. Together, we can work towards creating a safer environment or safer future for our children. Thank you for watching Zambia Today. On behalf of the entire Zanis production team, my name is Alice Banda saying goodbye and God bless you.